I'm just leaving my hostel. What I want to do is first go to the cathedral, get my credencial stamped, and then I'm off on my Camino Via de la Plata. Got out of the cathedral and I got my credencial stamped. The credencial is this little book. It's like a passport that you get stamped every time you check into a hostel or albergue or hotel, and you can also get them stamped in the bars and restaurants along the way. This proves that you've actually walked the Camino, that you've walked the 1,007 kilometers that is the Via de la Plata. And you can get them here at the cathedral in Sevilla, or else you can also get it at the Asociación de Peregrinos in Triana, which I'm going to pass a bit later, maybe because I'm going through Triana. But I've got my cell sealed, I'm ready to go, and I'm going to go have a coffee, and then I'm off on my Camino de Via de la Plata. I just had my morning coffee here in Triana, which is just across the Guadalquivir River, and I'm still right on the Camino. It's a nice little, more typical part of Sevilla. You need to watch out a bit because the arrows are a bit hidden here. There's an arrow, and there's an arrow that I spotted from across the street. So far it's a nice day. It's a bit cloudy. It's been sunny and cloudy, but it's perfect temperature for walking. It's about 11 degrees centigrade. The name of the place I'm going to is Guillena. I think there's another like 19 kilometers left. Just here in Santi Ponce, just leaving Italica, which is a Roman ruin just outside of Santi Ponce, about 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, but well worth a stop. Highly recommend it. And I'm on to Guillena now. It's another 10 or 15 kilometers, I think. But the weather's been changing, so I've been changing my clothes off and on. But it's been otherwise a beautiful day. The sky is slowly but surely clearing up. It's looking better. Up in front there is Guillena, my final stop for the day. Judging from what I'm seeing here, it's like another 5 kilometers, so maybe just over an hour to get there. It's been a nice day. The sun has come out. It's kind of warm already though. I wouldn't like to do this Camino in August, that's for sure. That's the albergue I'm going to be staying at. It's an easy walk. I'm just going to went to the supermarket and picked up some supplies, some water and some chocolates and stuff, because all the supermarkets are closed on a Sunday. So I'm getting a bit of a late start. I had a really great night's sleep at the albergue because I got a single room. I am walking to Castilblanco de los Arroyos. The weather is absolutely splendid. It's a bit chilly right now, and yesterday it got up to 21 degrees or so. It's a beautiful blue sky, and it's only 18 kilometers. It's going to take me like 3 or 4 hours from Guillena to Castilblanco. I'm about 10 kilometers from Castilblanco. Going through these trees. I'm not 100% sure what they are. They might be cork trees, but beautiful spot. Been a beautiful walk. The temperature has been amazing. As you can see, not a cloud in the sky. absolutely stunning weather to be walking. I'm just about in Castilblanco del Arroyo. It's a beautiful walk on the side to the main road. So we're sitting down at a maison to have a quick lunch of salmorejo and some albóndigas. It got rather cold having lunch because when you're in the sun it's nice and warm, and when you're sitting down in the shade it gets really chilly. So it's absolutely beautiful weather for hiking, and the countryside's been stunning. Even though this path is right next to the main road, it's still really, really pretty. This here is the Albergue Municipal. It's a bit outside of town, but it's got a nice big terrace overlooking the whole village. It's very pretty. I am walking through the streets of Castilblanco. Today it is 28 kilometers. And the one thing about today is on the 28 kilometers, there are no services per se. So it means that there's no villages, there are no bars, there are no restaurants to stop. So I've stocked up on water and I've got myself a big bocadillo, so I'm ready to go. This Castilblanco was a beautiful town, especially because there are 20-30 stalks around the church, which was really, really beautiful to watch them come and go. Hopefully it'll be an easy walk. It is all uphill as far as what I've seen so far. The weather is not the best weather today. It's a bit cloudy and it's with chances of rains or sprinkles. Hopefully it won't rain, but we should be fine. I've got my poncho with me. The clouds are way behind me, and it looks like the Camino today is mostly on the road, which has very little traffic, but the countryside is beautiful, the weather's beautiful, and I just switched from my boots into my sneakers, and also am in a t-shirt, even though it's on the chilly side. My sweaters, my fleece, and now I'm a bit chilly, but it's good. People took their lunch break right at the entrance of the cork trees, and so it must be like 20, 30 pilgrims. And I think normally there aren't this many pilgrims early in March, but seeing it's, COVID times are sort of past us, everybody's got that pent-up demand for walking. It's actually the most pilgrims I have seen on my Caminos, because I've always been walking in the winter or off season. So starting off at the beginning of the season is very different. And I think normally there aren't this many pilgrims early in the season. If you're ever worried that you're going to go wrong or that the Camino isn't marked well enough or so, that bend off definitely was the best marked bend off I've ever seen. We were literally now 25 arrows pointing you towards this way. And it's been very, very well marked all in all. You really can't get lost here. It goes up, and just beyond the ridge is the final stop of the day. Beautiful walk down the hill there. I'm actually looking for a restaurant to eat something because it's around 4 o'clock and hopefully I can still get something to eat, otherwise I'll have to wait till way late. I'm sitting in front of the albergue here. I tried to get on a private albergue, but none were available, but they did have blankets here, so that makes a big difference. I'm always worried that I get too cold at night without blankets. It's about 7:30. I am leaving Almadén, but first I'm gonna go get myself a coffee because I had a coffee machine at the albergue, but it was not working. Today it's 33 kilometers, something like that. One could stop at 14 kilometers, but we keep on going to Monasterio today. So far, this is prettier than it actually was yesterday already, even though it is foggy and a bit drizzly. But I've got my umbrella, which helps a lot when it starts to drizzle a bit harder, but it hasn't been hard enough to really put it up for long. Counted around 18 or 19 pilgrims that were staying at the albergue, which is a good amount for this time of year. But a lot of them are just going to the because it's a short walk. It's 14 kilometers from where we started today, and most don't want to push themselves. Most people are taking about 40 days for this walk, but I'm hoping to do it in around 30, 32, 33, depending on how the conditions are ahead. I'm in Via. The sun has finally come out today. It's a stunning, stunning, stunning morning still. And it's another 18 kilometers to Monasterio. So some people have stopped here, but it's only 14 kilometers from where we stopped yesterday. So I'm carrying on another 18 kilometers and 32 in total. This little town is very, very pretty, as you can see. Quite a long walk today. I'm just about in Monasterio. I think it's about another kilometer. Should be just over the ridge of this hill. That definitely is a bit longer than I expected. I did a few drone shots, which always take up a lot of time. I like doing them, they're a lot of fun, but they take up a lot of time. Tonight I'm taking a pension, single room for 12 euros. I don't have to share or hear anybody snoring. I got a bit of a late start today. I've only got 22 kilometers to do today. And I already reserved a room because there were only 2 pensiones in the little town we're going to. And it actually looks really nice where I'm going to be staying. It should be pretty easy terrain today, flatter than yesterday. Yesterday was lots of ups and downs. So far, it's been an absolutely beautiful walk between these walls on a nice, clean dirt path. And there have been cattle and pigs that they use for their famous jamón here in Monasterio. All the way on the back there is where we're going. It's about another 10 kilometers away. That's the final stop for today. Just walking through the pretty whitewashed streets of Fuente del Canto. Well, there must be a supermarket there, which I need to take note of. I'm looking for my hotel, which is supposed to be an old factory. I'm not sure what kind of a factory, but it's just around the corner. It was a long walk. Even though it was only 22 kilometers, it got kind of hot at the end. But Fuente looks very, very pretty. I'm going to go head out and explore after I get my wash done. The sun is slowly coming up over the horizon. I'm just leaving Fuente de los Cantos, and today I got 24 kilometers to Zafra. Yesterday I stayed in a hotel here in Cantos because all the accommodations were full and they don't have an albergue here. Some people went on to the next town, which is 6 kilometers ahead. The hotel was very nice, and they had a special pilgrim rate, which was about 30% cheaper, which is okay. And they had a bathtub, which was nice. Got myself my coffee, and I bought myself a magdalena, just to have an extra little snack. And it's about another 18 kilometers to Zafra, and there's another little village right before Zafra. So it's a nice day, broken up for once, because till now all these stages have been rather long with zero in between. So it's nice to have these little ones where you can get stops and get coffee, get a little thing from the panaderia. Very pretty little town here, which would make a good place to stay. And as you can see, the weather is absolutely stunningly beautiful today. Perfect temperature, another cloud in the sky, and walking through this white little village is very, very pretty. Pretty much everywhere you look, these caminos are marked, pointing you into the right direction. Just on a little shortcut. The actual Camino is up there. I did have to take off my shoes. I was wondering why it wasn't an official shortcut, but it's all good. I saved myself an uphill walk, and I'm back on the actual real Camino again. Just arrived in Zafra, and I'm just about at the albergue, which looks like a beautiful building. There's normally somebody to greet you, but today there's nobody to greet me. I'm the first person here. It's a very cool albergue. And this is what your typical albergue actually looks like. This is municipal. One thing that's not typical is they're giving you nice sheets and they're giving you blankets. But this is normally the way your bunk beds look like. You got two. This is a beautiful old house. I called the hospitalero, that's the person in charge, and he said I should just pick any bed I want. And I'm going to pick the one there because it looks like it's going to be quiet in there. I'm just walking through the streets of Zamora. Really beautiful town, and would be a good place to spend a few days relaxing, or a day, rest day if you want to, because it's got an amazingly nice old historic center. Well, yes, it's only about 18 kilometers today, and the reason is because the next one would be another 24 kilometers to the next town. So that's one of the reasons these stages here are a bit strange, because they go place from 20 to 25 to 35, and then next week there's some 40-kilometer stages. I changed into my boots. I started out in my sneakers, but seeing the roads are wet, I didn't want to get full of mud along the way, and I put on my rain cover. It's about 10 degrees centigrade this morning, a bit chillier than normal, but I've had my coffee ready and I'm ready to go. Doesn't really matter if it really starts to rain. I got my poncho, I've got my gaiters on, so I'm pretty well covered. Finally, it started to rain like crazy in the last little town. So I pulled into a cafe and had my breakfast. And now it's another 8 kilometers or so. And my final stop for today. I don't really feel like walking too much in this rain. Tomorrow I'm going to pull a long day. Hopefully the weather will be good because it will be about 40 kilometers to Merida. But it's been a nice day. There are quite a few pilgrims on the road. But it's always still a good day because we're on the Camino, enjoying the walk. It's been a long walk, even though it's only 18 kilometers, but thanks to the mud, my feet weigh more. It's been slippery and slow. Just made it into Via Franca de los Barros, which actually means Via Franca of the mud, which is kind of appropriate for today's walk. I'm looking for the albergue, which should be just down the street here. And then I'm gonna go get some lunch. Beautiful morning here. It is a very nice day so far. The sunrise has been absolutely beautiful. I just had my coffee, and today I'm going to try to make it to Merida. The stage is normally divided up into two, in 25 and then a 15-kilometer section. So with a bit of luck, as long as my knees hold out, I should be able to make it in one stretch before 6 o'clock this afternoon. About 4 kilometers out of Villafranca, and on the plains here, it's really flat, kind of like the Meseta on the Camino Français. So you can make up good speed, which is good because I do want to make up some distance. There's some mountains in the distance on both sides, and the terrain, thankfully, dried out and isn't as muddy as it was yesterday. Hopefully it stays like this. Alto de Mejia. It's the town right before Merida. Very few services, and I think there's one hostel. And it's only another 15 kilometers to Merida, and it's 1 o'clock, so I'm going to carry on walking. Walking along an old road now. Looks like the rain's holding out. Strange enough, the last few kilometers haven't been very well marked. And I'm in my poncho because it is kind of a bit of a drizzle and I don't want to get wet, so I've just been pulling on and off my poncho. But these ponchos are fantastic because you just zip them open and you can drop it down and you're good to go. I'm not 100% sure what these markers are, but they've been around the Camino the whole time. They're not really typical Camino markers, but I nearly sort of got off track back there because it wasn't very clearly marked, so I pulled out the app. Just about Merida, just need to cross that bridge. Just on the final stretch here into Merida and on top of the bridge. It's been a long walk, 44 kilometers in total on my watch, but I'm just about there. It's a very spectacular bridge. Behind me here is the Templo de Diana. Merida's a beautiful town, well worth a few days actually, or a rest day. But I'm not going to take a rest day for some reason. I just feel like going on. But it's full of Roman ruins. It's one of the most famous Roman cities in all of Spain, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So there are a lot of Roman ruins all around the place. And they've even got an amphitheater and everything. I'm not going to be staying around to see it because the weather isn't that great. I'm just going to run around a bit for a few minutes this morning and then keep on heading out. On Sundays everything is closed till later. They normally open up around 10 o'clock. I was lucky enough to find a coffee in the last minute. Bicycle pathway. Got around 20 kilometers to walk. Hopefully we get some rail trails at some point. I've been walking over and out, and funny enough, now I'm finally making it out of Merida. And there's Almadén, my final stop for today. It's definitely a wet day on the Camino today. And it looks like it's going to be raining all day. But it's not too muddy because it's kind of a non-clay surface. And I've got 30 kilometers to do, so hopefully I'll be able to make it easily. But there are a whole bunch of pilgrims ahead of me, and this, with a bit of sun, will be absolutely incredible. It stopped raining after like two and a half hours. It's about another 9 kilometers to Alucena, the place that was supposed to be the stop for today. But there's no albergues there, so I'm gonna keep on going another 10 kilometers. A lot of dodging of puddles not to get wet. That it would normally have been the albergue, but it is closed, sadly. Would have been good. I would have taken it up the way I felt when I got here. I am kind of debating what to do next because it's another 8 or 16 kilometers I've got to go, and I'll see how it goes. Morning I met some German pilgrims, and he literally passed me like he was running. He was going so fast he missed one of the bend-offs and walked about 3 kilometers the wrong way. It's a few minutes before 7. I'm here at the bus station in Cáceres, and the reason I'm at the bus station is because yesterday there were no more spaces available for lodging. So I came to Cáceres with another hiker on the bus, and now I'm going back to the same spot where I dropped off yesterday. So basically I'm going to do exactly the same route, just without luggage, because I've left my luggage at the albergue here in Cáceres. Okay, I'm back at the spot where I left off yesterday, Almadén, and I'm just looking for the Camino and looking to see if I can't find a cafe. It's a bit foggy and misty, but I don't think it's supposed to rain till way later. And the nice thing is, today I'm carrying very little weight. I'm carrying my poncho with me, just in case. Just walking past Valle de Salón. I actually just went in there for a quick coffee and a rest, because it's about another 10 kilometers to Cáceres. Valle de Salón is a strange village. It's one of the villages that they built in the 60s and 70s to colonize this area. The guy at the bar told me that this one was built for the cultivation of tobacco at the time, so they used to bring people here to give them a house. No soy peregrino, no. There's a military base down there. That's where all those soldiers came from. And then just beyond this hill here is Cáceres. Just having my breakfast, coffee, chocolate, and some churros. The La Valeta albergue here, Wasn't the nicest albergue. It was good, but it wasn't nice. It was a bit rough around the edges. Needed a good coat of paint. But the day is still a bit funny. It's, the whole town looks like it's under a sepia filter. And it's because there's been a big sandstorm that's been blown north yesterday with the winds. I am heading out now to Casar de Cáceres, which is 10 kilometers, a very short walk. Doing it because my knee is a bit strange. I'm not sure why. I'm just looking at a stork again. I love storks. But it's been a really nice walk here. And it should take like 2 hours at the max to get there. This was the shortest walk of all the walks. I wasn't very well signposted at the beginning, strangely enough. An easy 2.5 hour walk. But I'm staying in an albergue right at the beginning of town, and then tomorrow it's a 30-kilometer walk. This is the main square, and that's the regular albergue. So I just want to show you the most spectacular bus stations you've ever seen. It's like something out of the future. I just had a churros with chocolate, which was really good, and really busy bar actually that opens at 6:30. So it's nice to get a good start with a good meal. There's a nice little church behind me. It's a 32-kilometer walk today, so I got a bit earlier start. Even though the breakfast took around 15 minutes. But there were some fun Germans there that I've been seeing for the last few days. And there's really no services, so I'm carrying extra food today. Dog barking as usual. There's just one bar halfway through in about 3 hours. But I got a tortilla with me, so I should be good. And you have lavender everywhere. Really pretty spring flowers. It is quite barren. It's a bit overcast, but it looks like the Sahara yellow dust that's been giving everything a sepia tone is finally blown past. To cross the Tajo River, which is the same river that leads all the way to Lisbon. And there's a beautiful another railway bridge. It's been a long hike today, but it's been really pretty. I mean, the springtime is definitely a wonderful time to be hiking the Via de la Plata because all the flowers are out and it's just stunning at times. These rocks here are part of the old Roman road that went all the way from Cádiz up through Sevilla, Merida, Cáceres, all the way up to Salamanca. So some of the parts here are actual Roman roads. Today we saw the column markers. So pretty cool to see the history of this Camino. This Camino has been walked for over 2,000 years. It's 5:30, everything is closed, so. It's 7:15, I am just leaving Cañaveral. Probably the only good thing about staying in an albergue. So you get up early. It's kind of the usual where everybody gets up super early. I'm heading to Galisteo, 28 kilometers. A lot of people are going to Rio Lobos, which is only 20 kilometers away, a bit short a walk, but I want to do as many kilometers as I can. I want to keep an average of about 29 kilometers a day, which is pretty good. There's a bend off to Rio Lobos and then to Galisteo this way. This yellow sign means that it is the Camino, and on top they have this little thing. They're very nice to sit on. And another gate. In the background there, behind the horses, is Galisteo. It looks pretty darn amazing. I'm just leaving Galisteo. Got a very good night's sleep. I am going to Olivos de Plasencia. 27 kilometers. The first 10 kilometers are next to the main road, so it should go pretty quickly. And then it's 17, and I'm staying in a very nice old Cathedral. Just walking out of Caraboso. Very strange little town. They have some cool graffiti and they have the best coffee I've had on the whole Camino so far at a place called Zap 2.0. And we're walking by some very cool cruceros. Finally got some pilgrims ahead of me. These last few kilometers have been absolutely stunning, with beautiful spring flowers everywhere. The sun is out, the temperature's perfect. I took a nice little break there before, had a banana. It's really just stunning today. I just bent off the beautiful road and now we're on the main road again. There is a variant that takes you straight to the Arco Romano, which is a Roman arch, and then you've got the option of being picked up by a hostel and they'll drop you off in the same spot in the morning. But it's only 5 kilometers to Olivos de Plasencia, where I'll be staying tonight in the Casa Rural, so it should be very, very nice. I'm on the main square in Olivos de Plasencia. There, that's actually my room right there. It was a long walk, but It was really, really beautiful at points. And this little town doesn't have much to show for itself. It is 7:30 a.m. I'm just fixing to leave Olivos. Nice day, a bit of cloud cover, but it's looking good. And today I am heading to Aldea de something. It's about 27 kilometers or something. It's going to be a good day because it's not going to rain today.
Buen camino, igualmente. Adiós.
We're back on the Roman road. We just left Capara, arch in the Roman town. They even had hot springs there. And it's a nice, easy Roman road today. Not too rocky and beautiful countryside. It is overcast and they do call for rain later on this evening. So hopefully I make it to Aldea before the rains start. One thing they've done a fantastic job with here on the Via de la Plata is keeping you off the road. There's close to always a path next to what would be an asphalt road. Asphalt road is right there. And we're on a nice, because that way you're away from the traffic, even though there's not much traffic, but it gives your knees an all-important break. There's a lot of variety on this Camino, which I really like. Another Roman marker here. That's the equivalent of the arrow of its time. Those were supposedly put every 1,000 steps. I'm just leaving Aldea Nueva del Camino. Beautiful little town, I must say. Beautiful little balconies everywhere, nice churches. And I took a rest day yesterday because my knee was acting up. So I think it is better today. Hopefully it is. We shall see. And today it's only 18 kilometers or so. So it should be an easy day. And there's a stop at 10. It's gonna be nice because it's gonna be my coffee stop. I actually skipped the churros and chocolate this morning because I knew that there was a stop coming up. Oh, and there is a Roman column again. Very cool. Okay. And here is all the old Roman towns along the Camino, which is kind of very interesting. It's much nicer to be on the trails. Still a bit muddy because it did rain yesterday, but thankfully there hasn't been a drop of rain since this morning. I was hoping to be able to jump into the hot springs because I got a beautiful hot spring there, Baños. But you had to book in advance. But they have a whole bunch of hotels there that you could stay at too that aren't super expensive. And it's kind of a sophisticated town. Must be Puerto Vejar up there. This is actually the second town we've come through in 10 kilometers, and we sort of bend off here. They also have an albergue here, which is pretty good, but so far it's been a beautiful walk. This town actually does look nice, would be a good option if you don't want to stay in Aldea Nueva or Baños. The interesting point about here is that we just left Extremadura and now we're entering Castilla y Leon, and all the signages and everything's changing. You can even sort of notice it in the architecture that we're in a different place. But there's an arrow again. Pretty cool little logo here. It's been a nice walk ever since Baños. All the way to Baños, it was about 10 kilometers of road walking, and now it's all been trails. And the top there, we have the Sierra de Gredos with snow on it. Cows in the fields, and the Camino coming up. We're still on a Roman road, and it's only another kilometer. Good morning. Buenos dias, how are you? Yes. Greeted by the little donkey who lives next to the albergue. Very cute little donkey. He's like a little pet dog. And now I'm heading to the coffee shop. This town only has a population of 76, I think it is. So they were very nice because they actually asked us if we wanted coffee in the morning, so they would open. It is only 19 kilometers today from here to Fuente Roble. And I'm just looking, it is a very pretty little town in its scruffiness, because they have some pretty amazing little houses here. And some casa particulares. I actually wanted to stay in this one, but she didn't want to put on the heating. We have a little box here with a stamp, so I'm going to get a stamp this morning. Oh yeah, beautiful. There it is. Cool stamp this morning. These rocks here are definitely part of the foundation of the Roman road, but the Roman road would have been more like this, what we're walking on right now, a sand-covered road. Sierra de Gredos that is covered in snow, and the winds are just coming howling down there. It's supposed to be rather chilly this morning. This little town is called Valverde de la Valdecasa. It's hopefully got a coffee shop or restaurant so I can get some breakfast. But it's another one of these tiny, tiny little towns. Because I did get something to eat before, but I'm still hungry and kind of thirsty. But these towns are very funny. There's virtually nobody anywhere. just a big bend off there. But I went down the bend off for a few meters and I looked on the app, and basically all it did is take you way out of the way and bring you back to this road. So I decided to stay on the road. The final stop is just ahead, I can see it. And I'm looking forward to this albergue because it's supposed to be one of the classics of the Camino de la Plata. This is the fancy albergue I'm going to be staying at tonight. It looks really nice. Leaving Fuenterroble del Salvatierra. Very spectacular sky, I must say. It's a kind of funny little town, scruffy town. Albergue and the signs to the Camino. I'm just going for a coffee right now. Hopefully it's open. It looks like it is because people are going in. So it's a big worry in the morning to get your coffee or not to get your coffee. Just on the outskirts of Fuenterroble. The sunrise is very dramatic this morning. Today we're going to San Pedro, which is 27 kilometers. The albergues in San Pedro were closed, so I had to order or book a Casa Rural. Otherwise, we could walk another 3 kilometers to Morella, something like that, where they did have an open albergue. But last night's albergue was very nice. There were 7 pilgrims in total, including me. And then there were 2 other pilgrims in the Casa Rural, the German pilgrims. They've been staying in Casas Rurales, which, if you're 2 people, isn't much more expensive. It'll probably cost you just a few euros more, but you'll definitely be much more comfortable. But last night was really nice. They had a pilgrim mass, a pilgrim blessing. So we all went to that at 8:30 in the little chapel, and the mass was conducted by the same person who runs the albergue. So it's very, very nice. Don Blas is his name. The albergue has capacity for probably like 50 or 60 people. So it's a giant albergue. And the facilities were nice. One slept very well. We're about at the halfway point. And some windmills coming up, and then there's supposed to be a cross that marks the actual halfway point of the Via de la Plata. So I'm looking forward to the stop. A bit exhausted because I've got all these layers on, and it's been kind of fun. Everybody has ponchos because it's been raining, and even though it didn't call for rain today, kind of all grouped up on this mountain. We have the windmills again, and here's a cross. It marks the halfway point of the Via de la Plata. It's a beautiful spot, actually. It's another 2 hours of walking at least, because it's not around 8 or 9 kilometers to go from here. And I'm not sure how much is on the road, but it's a finally a few hundred meters away from San Pedro. And I'm happy to see it because it's been a tough walk for me today. For some reason, with the rains, up and down hills, and the icy coldness of it all. But we're finally here. 7:30 a.m. I'm in San Pedro. I'm on one of these stationary bikes to get my knee warmed up. Because one thing I found is that these stationary bikes work miracles on your legs when they are hurting, or your knees are hurting, or any joints are hurting. So I'm going to give it a few minutes, then I'm going to go for my coffee and tostada and the jamón con tomate. And then underneath here they have tomato. It's really, really delicious breakfast. Had a great breakfast with all the other pilgrims. There's one German guy there who's absolutely unbelievable. I saw him yesterday when I was going up a giant hill, and I thought at first that it was a cyclist because he was going so fast. But this guy had run from Sevilla and he's going to Salamanca. He was only going to Salamanca, but he did it in 8 days. He's averaging 61 kilometers a day and his speed is 8 kilometers an hour. It's absolutely incredible. The scenery has changed a bit. We're back in the green fields. And away in the distance there on the horizon is Salamanca. I reckon it's about another 2 hours, two and a half hours till we get to Salamanca, by the looks of it. But it's nice to have it on the horizon and being able to see it, because when you don't see the towns, it makes it a bit frustrating. Like yesterday, I was convinced I'd see the town once I got to the top of the long hill. And as soon as I turned the bend at the top of the hill, it was another 3 kilometers straight of nothingness, because the village San Pedro was hidden behind a hill. So it's very demotivating when you can't see where you're going. Housing's coming up in front of me, but it's still another 3 kilometers. Salamanca is a big extended city. Just leaving Salamanca. It's about 8:30. It's a bit late, but they changed the time yesterday, so now it only gets light at about 8. It used to be the sun would be out by now. It's not supposed to be the most beautiful walk today, but the weather isn't all too bad, so it should be a pretty good walk. Just finally left the main road. There's some pilgrims ahead, like 3 or 4. I think a lot of people started in Salamanca. Followed some other pilgrims and they took the wrong road. So you always need to double check that you are on the right Camino, because they led us into the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden I looked at the app to figure out where I was, because there were no arrows to be seen. And we were way off. So we sort of had to cut across to get here. And now, hopefully, we'll be back on the right Camino. I'm now heading to Cubo de Vino, another 18 kilometers. A funny sign that said with water, without water. So I'm not sure which it will be. I'm gonna risk it. There was too much water to pass. It was about 2 feet deep. So now I'm backtracking a bit. Well, that's how it goes. Just made it to El Cubo de la Tierra del Vino, which means the bucket of the wine region. Pretty strange name for a town. Here we are. Had a really great night's sleep. The albergue was really good. I didn't eat at the albergue, but everybody said the food was absolutely outstanding. It is drizzling. The walk today is 30 kilometers to Zamora. Yeah, that's the name of the town, Cuba de Vino. On the other side, they call it La Tierra del Vino, something like that. I got the wrong shoes on. Even though it's just drizzling, it's still very, very muddy today. It finally stopped drizzling, and it looks like in the back there, the sun is sort of peeking through. Up ahead, it's still a bit cloudy, but the drizzle is way down. Beautiful marker here in the middle of nowhere. The Arabic script. Every 2-3 kilometers, the whole scenery changes, which is a really nice thing about this Via de la Plata. The variety is bigger than on most of the other caminos I've been on. There's some sheep ahead. It's pretty amazing to see the sheepdogs guide the sheep along the road, because they've really got them under control. They don't let them scatter anywhere. They keep them going always along the road. Still in the middle of the fields. Behind me, there's some blue sky. And there's just scattered clouds ahead. And there's no more mud. So it's really nice. I'm excited to see what Zamora is like, because what I've heard so far is that it's not the most exciting town. This is the building the albergue is in. Pretty amazing. And here we are. As you can see, it's still really early. The sky is still dark. It's 7:30, and with the time change to daylight savings times, leaving before 7:15 is senseless. But I'm leaving today early because I want to get a 40-kilometer walk in. It's supposed to be very flat, so it's supposed to be easy and fast, but we'll see. And thankfully, it looks like the weather is going to be good and not raining, and hopefully the Camino is not too muddy. But Zamora was a very nice town. The albergue was very nice, but the two ladies checking us in were more like police, something like that. It's a very funny little garden. Have everything. It's the first village outside of Zamora. Strange little town. Not much going on yet. It's really pretty sky this morning. We're back to the wide open spaces. Leaving Fontanillas del Castro, a tiny little town behind me. Really was small. They do have an albergue, and the albergue is brand new and looks really nice actually. But it's only another 9 kilometers. And this way tomorrow I don't have to walk extra kilometers. And I can start the Sanabres, as a fresh start. That's another 3 or 4 kilometers that way. This is where the Camino Sanabres starts. I got a late start today because the coffee shop opened very late. I am right at the point with the Sanabres and the Via de la Plata sped. So you can either go to Astorga and carry on the Via de la Plata, or you can go down the Camino Sanabres, which goes over Orense. I'm taking the Orense route. Very few people are carrying on the Via de la Plata. I actually just met a German pilgrim and his wife who were going up there. Most people on the Via de la Plata will do this route to Orense and then to Santiago. So far as I can see, most of these stretches are around 20-25 kilometers. I'm looking forward to it because it will be a change of scenery. It will be a different Camino. The Via de la Plata really was an awesome Camino. I really liked it. I really loved the long stretches. The Camino Sanabres. It was supposed to be a really beautiful Camino. It's a spectacular view going down here. All the way in the back, 6 kilometers down is where I'm going to stay. Very, very loud welcome. I just had a great lunch here in Faramontinos. And I actually pulled out my poncho, put it on, because for a few seconds it looked like it was just going to come pouring down. But Faramontinos is a strange little town. It's only 5 kilometers to Tabada, where I'm heading to, which is my final stop for today. Easy walk, another hour. And it doesn't look like I will need my poncho, but for a second there I thought it was just going to come pouring down. This is Tabada, some very old buildings. A lot of little stone houses here. This is what they call the Casa del Reloj, the house of the clock. And it's kind of pretty, not many people around. I am walking out of Tabada, and today it's only a 20-kilometer walk. The weather is absolutely perfect. Very cold. Beautiful church here up in front, and I'm heading down to the Camino. Camino's a bit off, doesn't go through town. Wondering why I was feeling so cold this morning, and I just looked at the temperature and it said -3. That's why my hands were freezing this morning. Such a chilly morning, but beautiful. Interesting little town. But the best thing of the town with the tapas at the Bar La Plaza. Just crossing the bridge into Santa Marta de Terra, my final stop for today. There's the sign to the albergue, so that's where I'm gonna head now and hopefully get a nice spot. But it looks pretty. Leaving Santa Marta de Terra, the albergue here was absolutely fantastic. was only €5. Beautiful rooms, beautiful facilities. It's about -4 degrees. So I'm even wearing my puffer jacket, which I normally don't wear when I'm walking because it gets very warm. Today it's about another 25 kilometers. There was only one bar in town and she was nice enough to cook for us. So I'm well energized, but there is no coffee this morning. So that's the only problem. The next coffee stop is in about 11 kilometers. But as you can see behind me, the sun is rising. Looks like it's going to be a spectacular day. Really nice albergue here. Beautiful rooms, beautiful facilities. Right in front of us, you can see what I think is Rio Negro. And you can see the church up front. That is the albergue. I am just leaving the albergue. The albergue here was very nice. Giant albergue. Nice, really nice facilities. And I'm off. I got everything. I've even got socks over my gloves. It's -7 this morning. Super, super, super cold. Today we're going to Asturiana, I think it is. 20 something kilometers. And then tomorrow we make it to Pueblas. I might just push on to Pueblas, depending on how I feel. I just want to show you how cold it really is here. Just entering Mombuey. There's the arrow. Beautiful little town, I must say. Lots of cafes, lots of food, ATMs, everything you need. You can see it, but it is snowing. We're just about in Asturiana. Asturiana albergue has to be the ugliest albergue building ever. It snowed a bit yesterday, quite cold. Now my fingers are freezing. But I'm heading to Pueblas. Yeah, it's only 16 kilometers from here, so it should be a pretty quick walk. I just had my breakfast and coffee in the first town. I think it was I figured Pueblito de Sanabria or something like that. Very nice place. They had a fireplace and very good coffee and so forth. I'm a bit confused here because there's a marker here and there's an arrow here and there's a road there, but I think it's this one. I'll double check in a second. But it was really nice. It's still freezing cold. So I've still got my cap on and my mask to keep me warm. behind me is the castle of Sanabria, and I highly recommend a stay, and especially going up to the castle. The castle was really, really nice. Beautiful blue sky morning, quite chilly. Today I've got 30-kilometer walk. I did get off to a bit of a late start because I stayed at the Paralona and had a beautiful breakfast this morning. It's slowly warming up, so I've been starting to change my layers. I've had like 6 or 7 layers on in the morning and doubled up even on my pants, put 2 layers of pants, 2 layers of socks and so forth. It's good to layer up and be like an onion, then you can start peeling them off as it gets warmer. I even put on my puffer jacket in the morning. Looks like the next stage to Luan is going to be all uphill for like 16 kilometers or something. But it's very, very pretty. I don't know quite what happened to the good Camino, but whatever. It slows you down, but just about at the end of this mess. Absolutely stunning area. We don't have pilgrims, we have cowgrims. That's where I'm going. It looks pretty interesting. A little albergue, which is a very nice modern albergue. The little mountains we came down, and the dark streets. And they even got darker now. It is slowly getting light over Lubian. This is a very fancy fountain with 3 wolf's heads on it. And today I've only got 23 kilometers, so that's why I'm taking my time on leaving. But it's a beautiful little town. The weather is absolutely impeccable for hiking. It's not as cold as it was yesterday. Somebody woke up today and said, oh, today it's warmer. It's 0 degrees. Back on a watery trail. There's a lot of water, a lot of streams here. We're about halfway into this morning's uphill climb, but it's been an absolutely gorgeous walk this morning. Beautiful, stunning, clear skies, very nice forests, beautiful silence. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Probably one of my favorite walks of the Via de la Plata Camino Sanabres so far. Got another little water crossing here. I switched my boots, not because it's muddy, but because I fell into the stream at the back there and got my trainers wet. But I'm super happy I switched now because it is one big muddy trail. It's much easier with these boots. You can right away notice the difference in the trails in Galicia because they're very well maintained. And here, a very funny tree. We're back into a bouldery desert kind of setting. It's a very, very spectacular little walk here. I'm in A Guiñda, I think it's called. My first stop in Galicia. The albergue is right there. Brand new albergue, probably like 6 months old, absolutely beautiful. It was a way longer walk today than expected. It was 26 kilometers, but steep uphill, but absolutely stunning walk today. I really, really enjoyed the walk. Tomorrow is another close to 30 kilometers, I think. So hopefully I'll get some good rest today. I am just leaving town and I made a big discovery this morning. It's only 197 kilometers left. Thought I had 230 kilometers to go. There are two caminos here. One goes to Merida and the other one goes to Plata. And I was going to go to Laxe anyway, Trace. And the good thing is it's less kilometers. So off to Laxe we go. It is getting a bit busier the closer we get to Santiago as usual. Quite a grey morning this morning. And we're going to the high point, hopefully of the day. A Guiñda. Countryside. And a tower made of stones. Just made it down to Compostela. Hopefully I can get something to eat here. I'm taking a quick break on the downhill stretch. It's stunningly beautiful over here. Final stretch here, walking into Laxe. It's been a long downhill walk today. We've been seeing all the little villages down in the valley, and now we're down in the valley. Leaving Laxe, It is a very cloudy day and it's supposed to rain. It's supposed to be a steep climb again. Yesterday we descended over 1,000 meters, which is quite a lot. And today it's supposed to be about equal up and equal down. It's another 33 kilometers, but then tomorrow I get to Orense and the hot springs. Just had a nice coffee and an empanada, and I've got another 20 kilometers to go, so hopefully the rains died down. It was just a sign there guiding us to the Camino. But Albergue is a really beautiful town, and they have a very interesting bar and albergue that's just covered in shells that have been signed by the people staying there. Very nice place. Would recommend it as a stop, depending if you don't stop in Laxe. We've seen some Arroyos again, and a lot of signs to Santiago. As you can see, it's still raining, but it's just like a heavy drizzle, not pure rain. It seems to have stopped right now. I just had an amazing menú del día. Probably the best one I've had on the Camino so far. They really had the best meat. The restaurant was outstanding. It was called Maison Jose, something like that. But I'll put the link up here so you can see it. It's down there. My final stop in La Junquera de Arriba, if I'm not wrong on the name. It is 7:50. I'm in front of the albergue in La Junquera. There were only 2 pilgrims in 2 giant rooms. It was a very pretty albergue, and most of the albergues here in Galicia are pretty stunning, actually, architecturally and everything else. It's a beautiful foggy morning. I've got 25 kilometers, and I'm looking forward to getting to Orense because they have hot springs there. Pretty cool Camino marker, yeah. See the fog lifting in the background. We're finally approaching Orense. This is a little village called Osesa. It's about another 2 kilometers till we're in Orense itself. I just made it into Orense. I'm just about at my hotel. I am staying at a bit more fancy place today, and then tomorrow I'm going to go to the albergue because they don't let you stay 2 nights. But tomorrow I'm also going to go to the hot springs and enjoy them because they have some fantastic hot springs here in Orense. And then it's only another 4 or 5 days to Santiago, so I'll be relaxed and ready to go. It is 7:30 a.m. I am just walking through the streets of Orense. I just left the albergue. There were some major snorers last night, which never is nice. Today I'm walking to Seville, about 22 kilometers, not too far. Orense is very nice. It's a strange city. When you come in, you don't think it's going to be nice, but the central part is very nice. And best of all, they have amazing hot springs, which I went to for 2 days. I took 2 rest days here. So I'm really rested, ready for the next 4 days and arriving in Santiago. And I'm planning on doing the walk to Santiago within 3 more days from today. So by Friday, I should be there. Just crossed the River Minho, and it's been raining off and on, so I put on my poncho because we were running around with umbrella. It was getting too wet, but now we're on the other side. We just crossed the Roman bridge, and the Camino goes straight up the hill here. You've got 2 choices. The one Camino has more villages, and that's the one I'm on. It's a bit longer, 1 kilometer longer. Not sure which is better, because I didn't read much about it. I never do much research. 100 kilometers to go to Santiago. I put on my boots today because it's supposed to be raining off and on. Beautiful old Roman bridge. Now there's a bunch of abandoned houses and Arroyos. And we're just going up the hill in this little village. I think it's about another 5 kilometers. I got an early start this morning. The lights in the albergue went on at 6 a.m. I guess they never changed over to daylight savings time. I'm going to be doing a double stage because otherwise it would be 16 and 18 kilometers. I'm just leaving the next town outside of Seville, and I had another coffee. I had another coffee because I didn't have my second coffee in the first place because the coffee wasn't very good, and the lady was super grumpy. Many more pilgrims on the road in these last 100 kilometers. Last night there were probably like 20 pilgrims in the albergue. A lot of people like to do the last 100 kilometers because if you do at least 100 kilometers you can still get a certificate saying that you walked the Camino de Santiago. So 73 kilometers to go. Camino's disappearing into the fog, as you can see. It is a bit of a drizzle too, but it's not too bad, and it's about another 1 kilometer to the next little town where I'm going to stop for a coffee. Sun finally came out. There's some blue skies above. We'll see how long that lasts. Hopefully it stays like that, because you never know here in Galicia. In the last town there was an albergue, but it has been closed. And A Laxe is about another 18 kilometers from that last town, and I think I've got like 12 left to go. But if the weather continues like this, it's going to be a beautiful walk. Buenas. incredible albergue. You got the massive kitchen here. Upstairs we're going to the dorms. As you can see, you got bunk beds all over the place. This is actually very nice. They put little reading lamps. And it's got a beautiful garden. And all of these albergues in Galicia are run by the Junta de Galicia, which is a municipal system that looks after all the albergues here in Galicia. And they usually are very well designed places, always have a volunteer there helping out in case you need something. And this place to me is one of my favorite architecturally because it's really modern architecture and it is massive. Anytime you arrive in an albergue municipal, they give you a set of sheets. These are disposable sheets, and you get to pick your bunk. And this place costs €8 a night, so you can't beat it. Just leaving the albergue, totally stunning albergue, huge, amazingly beautiful facilities, very well designed. Today I am heading to Ponte Ulia. It's another 32 kilometers, so first I'm going to head for a coffee. Beautiful, beautiful morning again. It's about 7:30. The coffee shop here wasn't open, so I am hoping for a coffee soon, but really, really, really pretty. I'm just on the outskirts of Sevilla, which was the first sort of town after Laxe, A Laxe, when one could have breakfast. So it took quite a while to get breakfast, and I noticed how I was lacking energy on my way to Sevilla. But now I'm feeling way better, and I think it's another 20 kilometers to go till the next albergue where I'm going to be staying tonight. And then it's only going to be like 15-20 kilometers to Santiago. Tercero, the weather today is absolutely perfect hiking weather. And it's quite pretty, I must say, especially with all these canola flowers. It was a really nice walk today. Probably my favorite walk since Orense, because it was a nice variety with some villages and a beautiful Roman bridge, and the weather's just been spectacular today. It is a very steep descent into town. Is closed today, but into the gas station here to get the keys. If you call them, they'll tell this person to give you the keys. A bit ugly, and the placement isn't very good, but it's a good deal. sun is just rising here. We finally have a great view of the bridge. I am leaving Ponte Ulia, which is a strange little town, beautiful little town actually. It's got two giant railway bridges, one old one, one new one. It's only 20 kilometers. I stayed in town instead of the albergue, which is another 4 kilometers out, because just letting the cars by, because the albergue outside of town had 0 services. There were no supermarkets or nothing in the area. So this place I stayed at, €7 more than the albergue, but I got a single room. They had a restaurant downstairs with fantastic food, and this morning I got a coffee. It's so foggy, it's slowly clearing up. There's some pilgrims ahead of me. Actually, pilgrims who sent their backpack ahead of them. Down here, this is the town where the albergue is. That there is the albergue. Beautiful structure once again, but there were absolutely no services, so unless you came with your own food, you weren't gonna eat. If I'm not wrong, I think somewhere down there is Santiago. According to the sign, this is where the bulls of the camels used to rest before their way into Santiago. That marker there marks 7 kilometers to Santiago, but it also marks the 1000th kilometer I've walked so far on the Via de la Plata and the Camino Sanabres. Of all the caminos I've done so far, I would say these Via de la Plata and the Sanabres have been my favorite because of the variety and because of the long stretches and the lack of pilgrims. But that can't be said about now because there are about 15 pilgrims ahead of me. The closer you get to Santiago, the more pilgrims there are. Just come out of the pilgrim's office and have my final stamp in my credencial. So it certifies that I've walked the 1007 kilometers of this Camino. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful walk, wonderful experience. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe below and put a like down on the button or send me an email if you have any questions. I also have some guides specifically of this Camino and of all of my other 11 Caminos that I've done. So click on the guides below or click on the like or subscribe. I'd really appreciate it.